You ever wonder why the loudest people in the room are usually the ones doing the least? The ones always talking about their plans are the ones who never finish them. The ones always proving something, got nothing solid to stand on. But the real ones, the ones building quietly, they don't need to announce what's coming because they are what's coming. See, in a world addicted to noise, where everybody's posting, sharing, comparing, and begging for validation, silence has become a threat. Focus has become a rebellion, and minding your business is the most underrated superpower you'll ever carry. But here's what they don't tell you. You will never reach your next level if your energy is scattered. You can't grow while explaining yourself. You can't evolve while proving your worth to people who don't even value themselves. You can't build something eternal when you're addicted to external applause. You don't need more followers. You need more discipline. You don't need more claps. You need more quiet nights doing what nobody else is willing to do. And you don't need more eyes watching. You need fewer voices distracting. Because real growth, it happens in the dark, in the silence, when no one is clapping, when nobody sees it, when the world forgets you and you finally remember yourself. That's when you become dangerous. That's when the shift happens. Not when you talk louder, but when you move quieter. So today, I'm not here to hype you. I'm here to challenge you, to get out of everybody else's business, to stop explaining your dreams to people who aren't dreaming, to fall so deep into your lane that distraction can't even find you, because you weren't made to blend in. You were built to become. And the next level of you won't arrive through noise. It'll be born through focus. Stay silent. Stay sharp. And let's get to work. They'll call you cold when you stop explaining. They'll call you arrogant when you stop shrinking. They'll say you changed when you finally learned how to keep your mouth shut and your focus tight. But let me tell you something. They don't want you to realize silence isn't weakness. Silence is power. Real power doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't shout in every room trying to be seen. Because when you truly know who you are, you don't need to announce it. You are it. See, we live in a time where everyone wants to be heard, but very few want to be understood. People talk just to talk. They post every move. They defend themselves to strangers. They argue with people who don't even respect them. They reveal their plans, their pain, their process, all to get reactions from people who don't even matter. But silence is different. Silence is a discipline. Silence says, I don't need to explain myself. I know where I'm going. Silence says, let them doubt me. I'll let the results speak. Silence is not the absence of thought. It's the presence of control. You ever see a lion hunting? He doesn't roar before he strikes. He moves in silence, locked in, focused, and then power. That's how your life should look. Quiet until it's undeniable. But most people can't handle that. They confuse noise with progress. They confuse attention with success. They think, if I'm not saying something, they'll forget about me. Let them forget. You weren't born to be remembered. You were born to become. Let them underestimate you. That's the advantage of silence. Nobody sees you coming. The most dangerous person in the room, it's not the one shouting. It's not the one performing. It's the one who's quiet, calm, present. Because that person's not there to be seen. They're there to take over. Now I get it. It's hard staying silent when you're misunderstood. It's hard holding your tongue when people twist your truth. It's hard watching people run their mouths while you stay still. But understand this, you don't have time to prove what you already know. While they're talking, you're building. While they're judging, you're evolving. While they're watching, you're working. Your silence is not surrender, it's strategy. And when the time is right, your breakthrough won't need an announcement. Your growth will speak so loud, the same people who doubted you will have no choice but to notice. They'll say you came out of nowhere, but you didn't. You were just grinding in places they never looked. See, silence teaches you something. The noise never can. Patience, resilience, discipline. It trains your spirit. It sharpens your instincts. And most importantly, it clears the path so you can hear your own voice, not theirs. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, don't. The next time you feel the pull to respond, defend, clap back, don't. Hold your peace, guard your power. Let the noise chase attention, and let your silence build legacy. Because when it's all said and done, nobody remembers the ones who spoke the loudest. They remember the ones who moved in silence and changed everything. The most dangerous thing you'll ever do in this life is stop watching them and start working on you. Let me tell you why that's scary. Not to you, but to everybody who was counting on your distraction. The moment you shift your focus inward, everything changes. Not instantly, not magically, but permanently. Because focus is a weapon. And when you point it in the right direction, you become unstoppable. You see, they trained you to be distracted. From the moment you could scroll, swipe, compare, they had you looking everywhere but within. They taught you to chase approval, to seek validation, to define yourself by what you wear, who you know, what they say. But the second you pull that energy back, the second you stop explaining, stop reacting, stop needing, and you lock in on yourself, you become a problem because now you're not competing. You're not performing. You're building in silence. You're strengthening your mind, healing your heart, and developing the kind of discipline they can't teach in a classroom or buy online. Let me make this real. When you focus on yourself, you learn how to show up even when nobody claps. You learn how to lead even when no one follows. You learn how to keep your vision alive, even when the world tries to bury it. You stop seeking and start becoming. You stop chasing and start attracting. Because here's the hard truth most people will never admit. People stay distracted so they don't have to deal with their own reflection. They'll study someone else's life, down to the brand of water they drink, but they won't sit with themselves for 10 quiet minutes. Why? Because self-focus is uncomfortable. It exposes your habits, your laziness, your bitterness, your inconsistency. It forces you to confront the gap between who you say you are and who you actually are. But that's also where the shift begins. That's where greatness is born. In that silent, private, disciplined space where nobody is watching and you're still showing up anyway. That kind of focus, it changes the game. It rewires your brain. You stop caring what they think. You stop needing constant updates. You stop being driven by drama, likes, or gossip. And you start building something unshakable. And make no mistake, you will lose people when you focus on yourself. You will outgrow them. You will frustrate them. Because your growth is a mirror, and not everybody likes what it reflects. But let them misunderstand you. Let them call you selfish. Let them call you distant. Let them say you're doing too much. Because one day they'll see the version of you that all that focus created, and they won't even recognize you. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally became who you were always meant to be. So stop apologizing for taking your energy back. Stop watering dead soil. Stop begging people to clap for you while you build. Focus on your health, your spirit, your vision, your craft, your soul. Because everything you're looking for out there, peace, purpose, confidence, clarity, it's already in you. It's just buried under noise. So dig deep, get serious, and understand this. Every minute you spend on someone else's drama is a minute stolen from your destiny. Lock in, focus up, and disappear into your purpose. Because when you do, you don't just change your life, you change the world around you without ever raising your voice. Let me break something to you early. You don't get to the top holding everyone's hand. Elevation? It's not a group activity. It's personal. It's uncomfortable. And more often than not, it's lonely. See, people love the idea of growth until growth requires distance, until it pulls you away from what's familiar, from who's comfortable, from what's predictable. Everybody wants the results, but nobody wants the isolation that comes with the climb. But here's the hard truth. You cannot go higher while staying attached to what keeps you low. And that's why the path to elevation is usually paved with silence and solitude. You'll lose friends. You'll confuse family. You'll be misunderstood by people who once knew you, but can't see the version of you you're becoming. And it will hurt. It will feel like something's wrong. But trust me, nothing is wrong. This is what it looks like when God separates you for something greater. This is what happens when your assignment starts outgrowing your associations. You can't walk into your purpose while clinging to people who feed your past. Some people are only attached to the version of you who played small, stayed available, laughed at every joke, answered every call, and said yes to everything, even when your soul was screaming no. So when you start saying no, When you stop showing up just to make others comfortable. When you start protecting your time, your space, your peace, suddenly you're the problem. But you're not. You're evolving. You're elevating. And elevation requires that you release what you've outgrown. Let me say this clearly. Just because someone was part of your history doesn't mean they're assigned to your destiny. Don't you dare slow down your calling to keep people comfortable. Don't you dare shrink to fit in rooms you were never meant to stay in. And don't you dare explain your isolation to people who are afraid of their own reflection. Sometimes God will pull you away from the noise because he's trying to build your voice. Sometimes the silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. Sometimes the closed door isn't rejection, it's redirection. And you'll never hear that if you're always surrounded by noise. That's why he isolates you, not to break you, but to build you. Because in isolation, you're not distracted, you're not diluted, you're not living to please the crowd. You're finally positioned to hear what's real, to face what's broken, to step into who you were created to be. But here's the catch. Most people never make it through that part because they confuse being alone with being abandoned. They confuse silence with failure. They think if nobody's around me, I must be doing something wrong. No, that's when you're doing something right. Because when the noise dies down, you finally meet yourself. The real you, the focused you, the disciplined you, the version of you that's been buried under people-pleasing, over-explaining, and proving your worth to the wrong audience. That's who rises when isolation shows up. So don't fear it, don't fight it, and don't try to fill it with distraction. Sit in it, listen to it, grow in it, because elevation doesn't happen when the room is full. It happens when the room is quiet, when the distractions are gone, when the fake support fades. And it's just you, your calling, and your character. And when you come out of that season, you won't need to announce it. You won't need to prove anything. You'll walk different. You'll see different. You'll be different. Because what was built in isolation
Can't be shaken in public. You know what's easy? Making noise.
You know what's everywhere? Opinions, posts, hashtags, viral trends, people shouting their plans into the void, hoping it sounds like progress. But let's get one thing straight. Noise doesn't build legacies. Discipline does. We live in a time where clout gets more attention than character, where being seen is more important than being solid. But the truth, you don't build anything that lasts through noise. You build it through repetition, through routine, through quiet consistency when nobody's watching. You think the greats became great by being loud? No, they became great because while the world was talking, they were training. While the world was scrolling, they were studying. While the world was performing, they were perfecting. See, noise is seductive. It feels good to be noticed, to get the likes, the shares, the "oh, you're killing it" messages. But none of that matters if your foundation is shallow. Because noise fades, trends pass, crowds shift. But discipline, that's what sticks. That's what shows up when the cameras are off and the hype is gone. That's what builds something so real it speaks long after you're gone. You want legacy? You want impact? You want to live a life that still echoes when your name is no longer trending? Then stop trying to impress and start trying to master. Because legacy isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the dark, in the early mornings, the late nights, the lonely days, when nobody's clapping and you show up anyway. You keep showing up to the gym, to the notebook, to the books, to the grind, to the vision that only you can see. That's the part no one wants to talk about. The boring part, the repetition, the discipline. But that's where greatness lives. Not in noise, in the silence, in the structure, in the sacrifice. Discipline says, I don't care if I feel like it, I'm doing it anyway. Discipline doesn't negotiate. It doesn't wait for motivation. It doesn't ask for permission. It moves because it made a decision. You want to know why most people don't win? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not resources. It's because they keep chasing moments instead of mastering systems. They want the applause, but not the process. Let me tell you something real. Your life is a reflection of your discipline, not your desires. Everybody wants to be great until it's time to do what greatness requires. Everybody wants the crown, but nobody wants the grind. You don't need to be the loudest. You need to be the most consistent. You don't need a bigger platform. You need a tighter focus. You don't need more followers. You need more follow through. Because when you build with discipline, your name outlives the noise. People might forget what you said, what you posted, how loud you were, but they will never forget what you built. So today, ask yourself, are you chasing attention or are you chasing alignment? Are you addicted to noise or committed to mastery? Because in the end, the world won't remember the loudest. It will remember the most disciplined. The ones who kept showing up, kept working, kept believing, even when no one was watching, especially then. That's how you build a legacy. Not through noise, but through discipline that doesn't quit. You ever notice how everybody's got an opinion until it's time to actually do something? They'll tell you how to live, how to work, what to post, who to be, what you're doing wrong, what you should have done, what they would have done. But ask them to show you their results, and suddenly it gets real quiet. Let me be clear about something. Opinions don't build empires. Results do. And in a world drowning in noise, the loudest thing you can do is win. You don't need to convince anybody. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't owe a TED Talk to every critic who misunderstands your moves. You just need to do what most people can't. Execute. Because here's the truth. Your results will always speak louder than your voice. People are watching your words, yes, but they're believing your habits, your patterns, your decisions. They don't remember what you promised. They remember what you produced. See, talk is cheap because it costs nothing. But discipline, consistency, excellence, that costs time, sacrifice, reputation, that costs you. And that's why most people won't pay it. They'd rather talk circles around results than put in the work that creates them. You ever seen somebody throw dirt on your name only to turn around and study your every move? That's because they can't argue with fruit. They can't deny results. They can question your methods, your motives, your mindset, but they can't question what you've built. You don't have to clap back when your life is clapping for you. You don't have to defend your name when your actions are building one that echoes. You don't have to engage in debates with people whose only currency is opinion, because opinions don't pay bills. Opinions don't raise families. Opinions don't leave legacies. Results do. Now understand this. Not all results are external. Some of the most powerful results happen inside. Peace is a result. Character is a result. Self-control is a result. Healing is a result. Elevation is a result. So even when it looks quiet from the outside, even when nobody sees the growth, if you've got results in your habits, your health, your mindset, you're winning. That's the difference between those who perform for claps and those who prepare for purpose. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them guess. While they're posting, you're planning. While they're judging, you're building. While they're speculating, you're elevating. Because when it's all said and done, people may not like you. They may not understand you, but they will respect what you've built. And when they ask, how'd you do it? You won't need to explain. You won't need to preach. You won't need to argue. You'll just point to the results, the weight you dropped, the books you wrote, the business you built, the peace you found, the person you became, and all you'll need to say is, I stayed focused, I stayed silent, and I let the work speak. That's power. That's maturity. That's legacy. Because in the end, results are louder than noise, deeper than opinions, and more permanent than popularity. So stop talking. Stop posting. Stop trying to be understood. Just build. Just grow. Just rise. And when it's your time, your results will walk into every room and speak on your behalf. Loud, clear, and undeniable. Let me leave you with this. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. You don't need a spotlight. You need a standard. And you don't need to win the crowd. You need to win your discipline. All this time, you've been taught that your value is tied to visibility. That if people aren't watching, it doesn't matter. But I'm telling you now, what you do in the dark is what builds the light. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them scroll past your silence and mistake it for absence. Because while they're busy looking for the next big thing, you're becoming it. You want peace? Focus on yourself. You want growth? Focus on yourself. You want legacy? Focus on yourself. Not with arrogance, not with bitterness, but with relentless clarity. With that quiet kind of confidence that doesn't need to explain, doesn't need to convince, doesn't need to flex, Because when you master you, you stop fearing what anyone else thinks. So here's the charge. Shut the noise off. Pull your power back. Put your head down. Do the work. And when it's time, when the foundation is set, when the roots are deep, when the habits are built, you won't have to say a word. Your life will say it all. Stay silent. Stay focused. Stay dangerous.